Welcome to a new video in my home automation series, and I received a new product from Sonoff, which is a new Zigbee Mini. It's called the Zigbee Mini Extreme, but I think we already had a Zigbee Mini Extreme, so I think I'm going to call this the Zigbee Mini Release 2, which is also mentioned here. And that's it. So this is a Zigbee switch, which is very similar to some of the other Zigbee and non-Zigbee switches. I mean, it's very similar in size, but still it has some new features and some improvements, especially from the older Zigbee Mini. And these improvements are mainly 5 different things. So first of all, compared to the older Zigbee Mini, it's 40% smaller. So it's basically the same case as the Wi-Fi version of this device, or that Zigbee Mini Extreme, which I just mentioned that it has the similar or very same name for an earlier product. So size is a big thing, but it also received one of the new Zigbee chips, which means that this device acts as a router. So the previous Zigbee Mini had no neutral wire, wiring, or that was the new non-neutral wire version, and that was an end device. So this is a router, and with this Zigbee bridge, it can support up to 64, sub devices. So it can be a very, useful node in the Zigbee mesh network. It has one additional function, which is the detach relay mode, which basically disconnects the switch from the output. So you can operate the switch completely independently from the state of the output, which is an interesting functionality. I think these are sort of like edge cases where you either want to bring in an additional control or an additional condition into whether the switch actually controls the output or not, or you want this switch to control something else and maybe something else controls the output of this. So I think it is a nice feature, but probably this is not going to be used in the majority of their cases. And also I just want to give you a caveat. You will see like a separate section for that in the video, and I'm not really sure why, but for me, once I started configuring it and I configured a sample scenario, it was just really slow. Like I switched the switch and sometimes the output followed after like 10-15 seconds, which is, it's not ideal if you want to use it for lights or any device which you would notice immediately, or you should notice immediately. So that was the number 4. And number 5, it's just that it's a new iteration in the Zigbee Mini line, and as opposed to the older version, which required no neutral wire, this requires a neutral wire. So again, you have physical options whether you want to use this or the other guy. And since I was talking about all these other devices, I just want to show you just to make sure that we still remember all these old devices. So this is the Zigbee Mini. That was the original Zigbee Mini, which is the same package and the same size as the Mini, so the Wi-Fi version. So obviously you can see that this is like 40% smaller. But there was a new Mini. That's not a Zigbee version, but that's the Wi-Fi version. So you can see that's exactly the same packaging and the same pin compatibility. Again, the only difference between these two models, that this one is Zigbee and this one is Wi-Fi and this one is a Zigbee version. I get a little bit confused with these color choices because orange seems to be the color choice nowadays. But then this is Wi-Fi version, but this one is orange here. So this ended up being the gray one. Maybe they should have done it the other way around. Mostly because we have this second, or I would say the original Zigbee Mini Extreme, which is technically it's called the Zigbee Mini L2. And as you can see, again, it's the same package as the others. A little bit, maybe 1 millimeter thicker. But then the main difference is that this does not require a neutral wire. So you can see that on the outputs, there is just live in, live out, and S1 and the S2. And here we have neutral as well. So again, if you want to choose between these two, then obviously the choice is whether, if you don't have a neutral wire, that's the only option that you can use. And if you do have, then, well, you can still decide which one to use, but this has some additional functions and a better Zigbee radio, so I would probably choose this one. And by the time I complete the review, this product is going to go live. It's not live at the moment, and it's going to be $12.90 US in the beginning. I don't want to go through this documentation because I received a separate documentation which I quickly want to go through. So, well, first of all, this documentation already mentions all the things that I said about the size and the new Zigbee chip. And then there is this very nice comparison between the three products that I just showed you previously. So there was the original big Zigbee Mini, and then that's the Zigbee Mini release 2. Sorry, that's the new product that I'm reviewing at the moment. So you can see now the new support for sub devices, and this is the L2, which had no neutral wire required. And then you can see all the the extra functions that you are getting with this new version, and this detach mode and the turbo mode and the the OTA and the grouping, and even the power on state wasn't available in the original Zigbee Mini. So that's nice. Obviously, you have to update the eWeLink application to the newest version, same as your gateways, but that's the device. It supports all the usual things that we are going to see in this video. So scheduling, timers, loop timers, voice control, obviously, once you link it with Google or Alexa. Power on state, inching mode, with all the extra features that we get used to for other products as well. And yeah, and I'm going to talk about the wiring just in a bit, so I'm going to skip that. But that's pretty much it. I mean, other than that, it just talks about how you can add it, and then how you mount it, but that's nothing really usual. You can do this with this device, and exactly the same way as you have done it with, let's say, the Wi-Fi version of or the other Extreme, which required no neutral wire. And let me also show you the wiring from the documentation. So you can see that it shows you the classic wiring. So you have the the mains is connected to live in and one of the neutral, and the load is connected, well, the lamp is connected between the neutral and the line out. And then the switch is connected between S1 and S2. And also it's a good reminder that if you already have an alternative switching, then you can just connect them like that. So the between the two switches you have two wires, and then the extra I don't know, the wire or terminal on both of the sort of the end of the switches that goes into S1 and S2, and that is going to create an alternative switching. So you don't have to mess with group settings or scenes or anything like that. You can do this with any of the the Sonoff products. Or what you can also do is not connect the S1, and the switch is connected between S2 and the live, and the same with the alternative switching. So Sonoff says that it is very important to avoid, connecting any of these terminals to neutral. So that's something that you should not do, but you can do either S1 and the S2 connected to a switch, or S2 and the live. So you have the options. And by the way, if you look at my connection, then I used, sorry, where is it? I use this one. Okay, so it gets a little bit, so I use this connection. Now you can see that I have the mains coming in from these lines, so that is connected to live in and neutral. The lamp, which is these lines, are connected to live out and the neutral, and the switch is connected between S1 and the S2. So first of all, I'm going to test this in the eWeLink application. Well, obviously, I think this is where we are going to, well, most of us are going to use that. And actually, I have an NS Panel Pro that way that I'm using for a Zigbee gateway. And it's already added. So you can see the Zigbee Mini here, and by the looks of it, it looks very standard. So you have the big on-off button, and it turns the output on, and it turns it off. And then you also have the main features, like you can create schedules, and you can also create timers, so classical timers. That the device would turn on and off at the end of it, or you can do these loop timers, so sort of like a repeating schedules, or you can do these alternative schedules. I've covered this in every single video, so I'm just going to skip through them, because that's some features that are available for every single device. And if you go into the settings, so it is, well, the default name was Zigbee Mini R2. You can change the location, you can create groupings, you can look at the smart scenes that are created for this device, and then we get to the interesting stuff. So things that you see here, I think we have seen all these functionality probably in the new TX switches. No, probably not the TX, probably the basic R4, I think. So first of all, switch mode. So you can switch between these different modes, which means that this device, well, supports the regular old type switches, like, you know, this one, that's sort of like the toggle or the SPDT switches, but you can also use them for momentary switches. So then you would, you know, change to the pulse mode. But this edge mode is good for these type of switches, or you can also do the following mode if you, yeah, if maybe in some scenarios that's going to be better. But the default is the edge mode, and it works fine for these, you know, regular type switches. And you also have this detach relay option, which I think I'm going to cover in a separate section a little bit later. But you can see the main thing on the screen. Basically, you separate the output, which controls the light, from the switch action. This would be ideal when you want to do want to create more complicated scenes where, you know, switching something on by a physical switch should not necessarily turn on the whatever device that you are trying to control. Okay, and then we have logs, so we can see, you know, who changed the switch from either the application or locally. And we have pilot features, so we have this turbo mode, which increases the Zigbee signal. And we have power on state, so you can specify whether the device should be on or off, or the last state if there is a power outage, so how it should resume from power outage. And you can even decide, even specify a delay. So let's say it should come on with a specific like delay after 2 minutes. So you can just delay some of these stuff if you need to. And finally, we have the imaging settings, which is again is the same. Oops, what did I do? Which is the same with any of the devices. So you can enable it. You can set the timer. So let's say with this setting, the device would automatically turn off after 1 minute and 1 second. And then, but you can also do auto on. So if you turn it off, it will automatically turn back on after some time. Very good feature. And yeah, and again, it's almost available in almost new devices nowadays. And that's pretty much it. Let me show you the scenes. So if I go back, scenes, start, and I can create a trigger, smart device, Zigbee Mini, if it's got turned on or turned off. And of course, I can also use this as an end device. So I can turn the output on and off, or reverse it as an action in any scenes. Okay, so that's fairly standard functionality. So let's go back to this detach mode. So now if I operate the device, then it turns on and then it turns off. And I can do the same with the switch as well. So on off. Okay, so now let's do this detach. Save. Okay, so now what you're going to see is that I do this, nothing happens, because then the switch and the actual relay or the output is detached. So now we need to set up a scene in order to make this light to turn on. So obviously you would use that if you want to do some additional condition beside actually operating the switch. So I can't really think about a better option, and I don't really have a lot of different devices, but I thought I'm going to have this temperature and humidity sensor. So let's bring that into the equation. And it's this one, so TH sensor. So you can see that the temperature is 25 degrees at the moment. So let's go to the scenes and create a new scene. So smart device, mini. And now we have this new option that the switch has been pressed. And also want to add a new condition, smart device, TNH sensor, temperature. And let's say if the temperature is greater than 30 degrees. Okay, save. And then if that happens, smart device and then mini, I want to reverse the state of the mini and save. Mini test. Done. Oh, I forget something. Here it says if any conditions are met, if all conditions are met. Okay, that's good. So now if I operate the switch, nothing happens, because even though I switch this on, but the condition also looks at the temperature from this guy, and that condition is not met. So let's change it just to prove that it actually works. So oops, let me change that to 10. Save, 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 save. Okay. And to test it, let me just come back to here. So you can see, well, you're going to see this one as well, but you can see this in the screen as well. So if I change the switch now, and you can see that the output turns on. And if I do it again, then it would turn off. But I noticed that it happens very, very slowly. Well, comparatively very slowly. I mean, you know, normally you expect this to be within 1 second, but you can see that especially the off one was delayed quite a lot, and I can't really explain why it happens. And now it's turned on, so I think I have tested it in a couple of times, so maybe it's queuing up some sort of you know, results, and it is oh, it's definitely queuing up some of these messages. So now it's executing them like one by one. So that's not ideal, and I can't really explain you why this is happening. I mean, I used scenes before and I had no issues, and I'm guessing, you know, the NS Panel Pro is just a good enough Zigbee hub for this type of activities or this type of setup, because actually when you go back to the this screen, you can see that it says that it is local. That's not something that I've seen before, but I am assuming that that it means that this logic is running locally, which is fine, because even if you lose internet, then this logic is going to work, but it doesn't work very, very quickly. And now I've turned this off, and I still haven't seen this one working. I might try to get back to you on this, why this is happening, but that's how it's supposed to work. And of course you can, you know, maybe you want to use it for some sort of automation where time is not that critical, but for something like this, especially if you want to operate a light, I think it would be quite annoying if you have to wait that much for something to happen. Oops. Again, it's delayed. Now it's delayed less. But still, I think it's a significant delay. And now I have turned off the detach relay function, and I also disabled the scene. And of course now the change is happening immediately. Okay, now, and we are going to test it with the iHost, because, well, after all, I'm not really sure if all the functionality is going to work with his. I mean, I did all the eWeLink testing before I started making the video, but you know, maybe this is not going to work here. So what I'm doing in the background is I'm deleting the device from the eWeLink application, and now it is blinking, so it is ready to be paired again. So I can do add Zigbee device and then pair, and let's see if the new device is found. So obviously now everything is going to happen in the eWeLink, in the iHost. It's no longer available in the eWeLink, so we'll see what you know, functionality is available here. Okay, so let's just shorten this name. So it's already found. So iHost is supporting this device, and I can quit here, go back to all my devices, and oh, they did a thingy for it. That's quite nice. So here, and it shows an R, so this is a router device, which is something that we know already, and I can turn this on and off. And by the way, let me just I mean, I guess you can, well, wait, let me change the view. Clicking on different screens, so you can see that it actually, you know, turns the light on and off. Okay, that's great. And we can create schedules here. So that's the same thing that we can do in the eWeLink application, and we can do, well, it says delay here, but that's the timer. And we can do the loop timer here as well. I should be clicking here, not that. And then here we can change the Zigbee Mini, the location, startup. So we have a power on state, and that's it. So we don't have all the different, functionality that we have. Oh, and we can change the icon as well. So we don't have all the functionality that we see in the eWeLink application. For example, the detach functionality is not available here. But for a basic control, it is working fine and it is supported. I mean, to be honest, at this point, this doesn't really different from any other Zigbee switch. I mean, let's say an old Zigbee Mini would have the same functionality as this one. So if you want to use it for iHost, then the only reason you would pick this because of the size, because all the additional features is not really used in the iHost. Okay, the detach feature is not used in the iHost. Some of the other hardware things, so for example that it's a router device and it can support up to 64 sub-devices, that is still applicable, but yeah, the router thing is not. And if I want to create a new scene, I can see that I can use smart device and Zigbee Mini, and yeah, so it's only the switch functionality is available because we can't select the detach, so we don't have that option here. And on the other side, smart devices, oh, I can't select the Zigbee Mini because I'm also using it for the condition, and I can do switch on and off and reverse. So that's again the same in the eWeLink application. So that's quite standard. That's sort of what I expected. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that the detached relay is going to be the most used functionality. The fact that it's not available on the iHost, I think it's fine, unless you really need that functionality for some special scenarios. And actually, let me try this with the Zigbee to MQTT now. It's a fairly new device, so I'm not really sure how Zigbee to MQTT is going to support this, but let's see. So let me just go over to my server. So the thing is blinking again, so it is ready for pairing. And let's permit join MQTT Explorer. Let me just start that right out of the box. But hey, look at this one, sort of Zigbee Mini R2. It's already supported. That's great. So router device, yeah, power, mains powered, interview completed. Okay, so we can control the state. Yeah, it works. The light comes on, and we have a power on the behavior, so that's on off. Well, we even have toggle here, so that was not in the eWeLink app, but that's good. Oh, ooh, and look, even the turbo mode can be enabled here over Zigbee to MQTT, and the delayed power on state. Delayed power on state, and also the time. To be honest, I haven't seen this before because I'm pretty sure that I have tested some of the other sort of products in Zigbee to MQTT, but maybe this is some new function that I was added since. And the relay detach mode is available here. Ooh, that's good. So let me show you like that. So if I set it to false, then you can see that this turns on, and if I set it to true, it stays on. False, turns on, turns off. Great, it is working. And what else? Yeah, external trigger mode, so edge, pause, following off, following on. So again, that's the same function that we have seen in eWeLink. I do like this quite a lot as well, because in case I want to use it for a momentary switch, then I would switch this to pause. So that's great. And even the inching features are brought over as well. So let me just switch back to this view as well. Let's enable. Let's set it to, oh, that slider is wicked. Let's set it to 2 seconds, and the inching mode is off, and apply. And it turns off after 2 seconds. So it is working. Wonderful. And we have link quality. So that's actually great. I mean, I do like the fact that it has all these features and everything which is available in the Zigbee to MQTT, because to be honest, I expected the state, power on behavior, and then maybe the external trigger, but none of the others. So That's really, really great. I mean, inching is not even available in the iHost, but it's already implemented here. So this, oh, sorry, no, it was. So this is a great stuff, and I'm quite happy that it works. Oh, by the way, let's see as the messages. I'm pretty sure that it would have like a huge message type. Yeah, so basically everything that you see on the main screen is available. Oops, sorry. Oops, wrong. So everything is available in the main message. So you can see all the different, settings and the power on delay time and, external trigger mode, inching, link quality. And yeah, this is just great. And let's see if I can find I think it's the Zigbee Mini 2. Yeah, let me just resize it. So it is already documented in the Zigbee 2 MQTT. Oh, that's the other version, which is the no neutral wire version. But you see, they already supported everything for that device as well. I just either didn't check, or I just don't remember. So you can see all the different things, and then you can also see that, of course, when anything updates on the device, then you get all these messages back. And if you want to use if you want to change any of these over MQTT, you can use the /set topic and then provide any of these values in JSON. So that particular attribute, colon, and the value. And of course, when you're using, let's say, the inching, you can provide all three variables at the same time. Like if you want to set whether enable or disable it, and the time, and also whether it should be on or off, or auto on or auto off. So everything is nicely documented here. And yeah, everything works. I am very impressed. So that will conclude my review of the Sonoff Zigbee Mini Extreme, or probably I'm going to call it Zigbee Mini R2, because yeah, there is this other Mini Extreme which is very similar, but still it's different. And this device is definitely different. There are some differences here. So if you need a physically small device and neutral wire is available, then this is a very good choice. It has all the features, and it has all the features if you're using it eWeLink. But if you want to use your own homebrew solution, let's say with Zigbee to MQTT natively, or maybe integrated into Home Assistant, then all these extra functions are available there as well. So it's a great little device. If you are interested in buying it, I'm going to have some affiliated links in the video description. But I think that will be all for today. Thanks for watching, and hopefully see you next video.